Mark this on your calendar. The next Peppa Pig movie is going to be a worldwide success. But do you know what fans most want to see from this little piggy's adventure in China? China. That's right, you heard that correctly. The most famous little pig on the planet is going to visit China, and this is the 5th country she has visited in her entire history, which is why everyone is excited to see what's going to happen. The story still hasn't been fully revealed, but what we already know before telling you the theories is that Peppa is going to feel sad because her family didn't plan a vacation trip this year. And Mommy Pig and Daddy Pig are probably right for not doing that because, as you already know, the pig family gained a new member. Eevee was born to everyone's surprise in the same hospital where the Princes of England were born, and that must have cost a lot of money. Not to mention that Peppa's parents appeared on television to make the announcement, and that kind of thing must be very expensive too. That's why Peppa wasn't going to have a very good vacation. But everything changes when a magical storm hits the pig family's house and takes our protagonist straight to China. But why? If you want to discover the mystery behind all of this, stay with the... You already know, right? Another Cinewave is starting! Eevee. The trailer released so far shows 2 new things. The first one we can clearly see. Apparently, the Peppa Pig art style changed into a more detailed 3D animation, and this could be the future of the series. The second thing we don't actually see, but it's there. We hear the sound of a baby, which means we're talking about Eevee Pig, and that tells us the movie will take place during the time when Peppa's new little sister joined the series. This is super important because ever since Eevee was born, it's become clear that one thing changed in the series, and that is time. Before, time never passed in the story, but now things are changing, so it's certain that Eevee will appear in the movie, and maybe she'll be a super important piece of the story, but we'll talk more about that in a little bit. Suzie. One thing many fans are theorizing about is whether Suzie Sheep will be in this movie. Some people think that won't happen because the story is focusing on the fact that everything is about Peppa's vacation. In other episodes about this kind of trip, like the Italy vacation episodes for example, Suzie isn't present during the protagonist's journey. She stays in town waiting for her best friend. That's why there is a real chance Suzie could stay out of the movie, but we don't believe that because this movie should finally show Suzie's father living in China. Yes, that's possible because if you remember the episode where Suzie was going away, the little sheep's mother was going to move to another country, and we believe that country could be China. Of course, Peppa has already traveled to several places around the world, but nobody has ever seen another ram. Wouldn't it be amazing if the sheep lived in the one country Peppa hasn't visited yet, which in this case is China? Do you see how everything connects? Peppa is going to visit a new place, and that place could be the home of the sheep. And if you want a clue, the series itself may have already shown us one in the latest season so far, in Peppa's dance party story, when Peppa finally talks about Suzie's father. She did that as a tease to the fans because everyone on the internet is always making videos about this topic. It's a way for the creators of the series to show that the mystery surrounding Suzie's father is truly trending online, and that maybe the new movie will finally solve that mystery. What do you think about that? Kung Fu. China is a country known for being full of history and culture, but every time we think about China, we think about Kung Fu, which is one of the most famous martial arts styles in the world. Who here loves Kung Fu Panda? Raise your hand. Since the movie will take place in that country, we are absolutely sure there will be scenes where Peppa, George, or maybe even both of them learn a little Kung Fu. It would be a waste to go to China and not have a martial arts lesson, especially because Peppa already learned a little karate from Mr. Bull in one episode, and she really enjoyed it. Could Fighter Peppa be coming next? This might be the little piggy's newest skin. Would you like to learn Kung Fu with Peppa? Comment the hashtag pig so we can get to know you. Hi-ya!
Wow.
Food. And everybody knows Peppa needs to try China's famous food, right? Okay, now you're probably thinking about that episode where the pig family went to an Asian food buffet and there was a lot of Chinese food there. But one cool thing our protagonist could do is learn how to cook. That would be really fun, and Peppa is exactly the kind of character who loves learning new things. We think fans need to see fun scenes of our protagonist learning how to cook delicious food. But what do you think about that? Marathon. Did you know that one of Daddy Pig's favorite things to do is run? Of course, he needs to lose that huge belly, but jokes aside, there's something Peppa's dad could do. This movie has an incredible opportunity to show Daddy Pig running a marathon on the Great Wall of China. That would be absolutely amazing. Do Do you remember when Daddy Pig ran all across town by himself just to earn money to fix the roof of Peppa and George's school? And in the latest season, we discovered that he was training to run the London Marathon. That proves Peppa's dad is really skilled at running, and the Great Wall of China would make perfect sense as the setting for a super exciting race. Besides that, it makes sense that Daddy Pig would have to run a lot because, as we already explained, Peppa is going to get lost in China after a storm, and even though this is an adventure, it's not really something good. Peppa is still a child, and her parents are going to be worried. Storm. But what kind of storm is this? How could a strange storm carry Peppa all the way from England to China? We did some research and discovered that the minimum distance between the two countries is more than 3,200 miles, which means it would be impossible for a normal storm to carry someone that far. That's why we are completely sure this storm is magical. In the episode about the Tooth Fairy, we discovered that magic exists, and because of that, it's important to point out that the next movie will feature some kind of special storm, maybe even a spell created by a wizard who desperately needs our protagonist's help to solve a problem. Pigs. As we already made clear, Peppa is going to end up in China because of a strange storm that carries her there. This wizard must be a pig, and we have this theory because people have been talking for a long time about a very strange detail in Peppa Pig. Have you ever seen any pig in Peppa's world who wasn't related to her? Of course not, and this detail has always made Peppa Pig fans suspicious about where all the other pigs could be. Peppa has already traveled to many different places, and even so, we've never seen other pigs, but that doesn't happen with other species. For example, look at the train station scene in London. We can see Miss Rabbit and Rebecca Rabbit near Peppa, and on the other side, another rabbit family that isn't related to them. That's common with other species, but all the pigs are related to Peppa. The movie has the perfect opportunity to reveal that all the other pigs from Peppa's species are living in China, and that would be really interesting because it would prove that there are more pigs besides the protagonist's family. What do you think about that? There's a new video here every day, so subscribe and hit the bell to stay up to date. Wizard. But what did this wizard want from Peppa to bring the little piggy all the way to China? This new character might need someone with a pure heart to find a treasure. That's because, in Chinese culture, pigs symbolize luck and wealth. If Peppa represents that, then the wizard may need the protagonist and her siblings, George and Eevee, to find a treasure. Can you think of anyone with a purer heart than these little pig siblings? Peppa, George, and Eevee are going to play an important role in this story because the wizard who creates the magical storm will see the three little pigs as symbols of luck and fortune, which is why they are the perfect ones to find an ancient treasure. But the real question is whether or not this wizard actually deserves to find that treasure. Miss Rabbit. This wizard better be careful because everybody knows that in Peppa's world, the one who controls the money is Miss Rabbit. This movie has a huge opportunity to show the Chinese version of Miss Rabbit. You already know there's one of her in every city around the world. And of course, in this new movie, Chinese Miss Rabbit is going to appear. If the story really focuses on the search for an ancient treasure, then you can be sure that Miss Rabbit from China will be part of it. Now we just need to know whether she'll want to share the gold with Peppa or keep it all for herself. Villains. Do you know what's going to happen in this movie? We are finally going to get the presence of a villain. The Peppa movie needs a villain because the characters have to solve a huge problem in the story. Let's remember that villains are something very unusual in Peppa's world, but for a movie going to theaters where Peppa is lost on the other side of the world, our heroes are going to need a major problem to solve. If the treasure theory is correct, then we already know who the antagonist will be. Of course it's going to be Redbeard the pirate. He's always searching for treasure, and we know from the Ben and Holly series that he knows fairies, which means he has access to magic. Do you see how everything fits together? He could use the magic he knows to create a storm that takes Peppa to China. Once there, he could trick Peppa, who has a pure heart, into finding the treasure so he can keep all the gold for himself. But this character will still have to be careful with Miss Rabbit because, among the most powerful characters, Miss Rabbit is the one with the greatest strength. Dragon Dinosaur. And finally, we are completely sure that George is going to find a Chinese dragon, just like the paper one from the Chinese New Year episode in the series. But George is going to look at the dragon and think it's a dinosaur. That would be really interesting because it could mean the little piggy will stop being obsessed with dinosaurs and start becoming interested in dragons instead. Will that actually happen? You'll only find out in August 2026 when the movie arrives in Chinese theaters, so stay tuned with us for all the latest updates. We've left 2 videos on your screen so you can choose and keep having fun with us. See you in the next video.